How can we analyze comprehension texts? Now, ask yourself this set of questions every time you are given a new text. Sometimes when you first see an unseen text, it can be daunting and a bit scary because it's something that you've never seen or analysed before, and you're expected to do this quickly and in exam conditions. However, these questions are going to help you move from really broad ideas into specific detail which you can use to correctly answer the questions. Make sure you can at least say something about your text, even if you totally don't understand it. So while you might not have a complete understanding of the text, if you use broad ideas and then link it to specific examples, you're going to have something on the page and some ideas which the marker can award marks to. So, firstly you ask yourself, what is it? For example, you identify the text type. Is it a poem? Is it a feature article? And you ask yourself questions about what you know about this text type, and then use this to answer the questions which you are given. Secondly, you ask yourself, what are the elements of its structure? So you might look for things like a title, a picture, paragraphs and stanzas, and rhyme or rhythm. These are all elements of structure which are really going to assist you in answering questions in a sophisticated way, especially if there aren't as many language or visual techniques. Structure is a really good thing to be able to fall back on in your answers. Next question, what stands out about the text? So you might be looking for things like bold or large font, which the author or the composer is drawing you to, pictures, and strong language. These are the types of things which you can use to fall back on if you can't see any less obvious and subtle techniques. You can ask yourself, what are the main ideas of the text? These are often repeated throughout the text as motifs and images. They could be part of the title, and this could draw yourself to the main idea straight away. It can also appear often as keywords throughout. For example, if it's a feature article, each topic sentence might have the same keyword in it, such as if your area of study was the migrant experience, it could be including keywords like migrants, refugees, and exile. Next question, what are the connotations of the text? So, as the reader, what you must do is pick out some keywords and ask yourself, what does this make me think of? So you're looking beyond just what's written on the page and really thinking about how you can use things. For example, if you're reading a poem and it describes something about light and dark, the poet's not just talking about how it was light and dark, but is using this as a metaphor for perhaps two contrasting moods or two contrasting idealisms which are together. You must ask yourself, who is the target audience for this text? So in this section, you're looking for things like content and language, which will really give you an idea of who the author is trying to address their text towards. For example, is the language formal or informal? Is it intellectual or is it everyday language? So you're looking for things like colloquialisms, abbreviations, which might suggest more informal language, and jargon and long words, which could suggest formal language. You also must ask yourself, what is the purpose of this text? Sometimes it might be a very obvious purpose, and sometimes this might require more analysis. However, once you do work this out, you can continually link your answer back to your idea about what the purpose is. For example, it could be to entertain, to persuade, for example, to give an opinion about an issue, or to convince the reader to buy something, such as in an advertisement, to educate, and to communicate a feeling, a particular emotion which the author feels very passionate about, or if it's in a personal piece, demonstrating the way in which they're feeling and wanting the audience to sympathize with that. You also must ask yourself, are there any techniques which you can spot? So in this, you're looking for specific detail which you can use quotes and techniques with to structure your answers. So you're asking yourself, are there any visual techniques? Are there any language techniques? And in language techniques, you're looking for the things which you already know. Things like metaphors, alliteration, and personification, which make your answer stand out as sophisticated and well known. There are a number of different question types which you can be given in this section of the exam, and the questions range in 1 and 2 mark answers up to 6 or 8 mark answers. And it's really important that as you get different mark values, you adapt your answer to what the question is really asking. So for example, an exam paper might open with this question: how does the composer use one visual technique to represent the idea of freedom? So if you're given that question, you're only answering with possibly 2 or 3 sentences. The first one in which you identify exactly what the visual technique is, and then the second and third sentence where you say how this is used to provide the idea of freedom, and linking this to your area of study through demonstrating what this visual technique has on the audience. Only 2 marks. However, you might be given a question like this: how does the writer represent her opinion on bail rights? For 3 marks. Now in this question, the how suggests that the marker really wants a more extended response. You might be listing more than one technique, say 2, and giving a lot of quotes or at least backup evidence from the text to provide the fact that you not only know what the writer says about bail rights, but that you understand how this is expressed. You can also get more extended response answers. For example, this question, which is taken from an HSC paper. A collection of texts, Exploration of Freedom, is being prepared for preliminary students. Which 2 of these texts do you think should be chosen for inclusion in this collection? Explain the reasons for your selection. You must make detailed reference to the 2 texts that you have chosen. So in this question, which is worth a significant amount of marks, you must not only rest on one text, but make a judgment as to which of all of the texts in the reading booklet provide the best answer to this question, and then go on to provide a detailed response which brings in a number of examples and a number of different themes which you can discuss. It's really important that you use structure in this question, so use paragraphs to split up the different texts which you're talking about, and also ensure that you use linking sentences to bring the 2 texts together. It's also important in these type of questions that you make a specific judgment about what the question is asking. So for example, it's asking which texts you think are right for inclusion. So you really need to justify this in your response. So this brings us to the end of our lesson on comprehension. It's really important when approaching comprehension in your paper 1 that you don't just assume that it's easy. You really need to focus on honing structure and how to answer the questions using techniques in order to impress the marker. And by employing these types of techniques and using the checklist to analyze your text correctly, you are sure to do well in the comprehension section of your exam.